Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Premier, yesterday in your embarrassing response to our question on your no-show for the climate strike, you not only praised the Prime Minister for his climate leadership despite him deciding not to attend the UN Climate Summit, you suggested your government is leading on climate. The reason Tasmania's emissions profile looks as good as it does is in significant part due to the work of the conservation movement over decades, because we got the loggers out of more than 500,000 hectares of high conservation value carbon banking forests.
Order.
Well, they're just the facts. I know you're anti-science, but they are the facts. We got the loggers out of more than 500,000 hectares of high conservation value carbon banking forests, while the more evolved players in the industry have moved into plantations. Premier, can you confirm that your government plans to open 356,000 hectares of some of the most carbon-dense forests on the planet to loggers from April the 8th next year? How will you explain that to the children in the time of climate emergency?
Thank you, Mr Ferguson. Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the true Leader of the Opposition for the question. And look, if they want to take credit for Tasmanian being the climate change leader that we are, fine. Knock yourselves out. That's great.
We're not.
Well, we are. We're the first jurisdiction in Australia to achieve zero net emissions. We will be 100% renewable by 2022. We are delivering on what is a nation-leading action plan, Climate Action 21, with a number of initiatives that will go to improving our emissions footprint, to reducing those emissions, and actions that are not only supporting government's efforts but also the non-government sector, business industry, and those in our community who we do understand are concerned about this issue, and we hope are informed with the facts and not just the green versions of things, because it's not honestly reflecting how far Tasmania has come. The lowest per capita...
Okay, I have a point of order.
I wrote that question. Relevance. I wrote that question so it's specifically pointed to the issue of the plan to open up the high conservation value carbon bank forests and draw the Premier's attention to the question. He is deflecting.
Well, whilst I have empathy for you, Ms O'Connor, I'm sorry, you know it's not a point of order, and I can't force the Premier to say anything.
He needs to answer the question about the forests.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I will, but the Leader of the Greens opened her question with a statement about Tasmania's status when it comes to emissions reduction and climate change policy, and I think it's important that the facts are on the record, because I'm not sure that all those people who I understand are concerned about this and choose to protest and to rally want to be informed with the facts, and I just don't think that they get them from the Greens.
Well, you wouldn't know because you weren't there.
For them, this is their raison d'etre. It is a campaign for them. We're about action and about delivery.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to give both of you ladies a warning.
The lowest per capita emissions of all states and territories achieved by Tasmania. Emissions per person decreased between 1990 and 2007, a reduction of 96%, and it occurred at a time when our population has been growing. One of the lowest net emitters of carbon dioxide on the planet is our state, and as I say, renewable energy generated, we will be 100% by 2022, and of course our commitment as a government to invest in renewable energy, but also in climate, research and science, and a number of other initiatives which I would just hope that the member who asked the question would inform those who come to her to understand the facts would bear quickly. Now, with respect to our working forests, we are committed, of course, to rebuilding an industry that was decimated by Labor and the Greens. Jobs lost. It did negatively impact on our economy. But we've always said that our growth strategy for this important industry is based on resource security, financial sustainability, job security, a stronger role for the private sector, and of course positive environmental outcomes are critical. So the purpose of the government's approach to future potential production forest land, and the reason we introduced the Rebuilding the Forest Industry Act in 2014 was to secure a wood bank to provide for future sustainable forestry production in Tasmania. And the Act sets out a process to exchange and after the 8th of April 2020 to convert future potential production forest land with permanent timber production zone land. It would be a crime. To exchange or to convert or to exchange that land requires the acceptance, of course, of both houses of Parliament. The Act does not mandate that anything must happen on a particular date. There's no conspiracy
Yeah, open
in
from the 8th of
the
April.
legislation that
Don't
passed
even
this
start it.
Parliament. It does not mandate that anything must happen. No exchange of FPPF land has occurred or even been sought
The loggers
since
are
the
lining
Forestry
up. Well, point of order,
Rebuilding the
Madam
Forest
Speaker,
Act.
I think the Premier is seeking to mislead Parliament.
Yeah.
The industry is on the record as seeking access to those reserve forests.
They were speaking to the
It's
Premier
not been
yesterday.
sought. It's in the... It's
Okay, order. That is not a point of order.
It's misleading.
Well, I know you're very passionate about it, Ms O'Connor, but I do ask the Premier to proceed.
And certainly the advice I have, and it certainly hasn't occurred, as the member might suggest, and there has been provision for special timbers access since 2017.
They're seeking it
But I'm
now.
not aware of any application to
logging
do so. The government are continuing to engage with stakeholders in relation to this land and its role in the future of our forest industry.
What about the
there has
future of the
been no
climate?
process, or no proposal rather, to access this resource presented to government,
I was
of which
Evan
I am
Rowley
aware.
here yesterday.
However, we do note, of course, interest from an industry that is revitalised under this
And it's
government.
disgusting.
But any
And
process
you
will
should
be
reject it.
thoroughly
Order.
assessed in line with the requirements that have been set down by legislation that passed through this Parliament.
about
And with
the
the exception,
legislation
of
to
course,
protect
of
the
areas
climate?
incorporated into the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area, the
Thank you,
FPPF
TFA.
land is not and has never been part of Tasmania's formal reserve system. And the claim
The informal
that all of this
reserves,
land is high conservation value,
It is.
of course, comes from the Greens and their
No, it
discredited
doesn't.
Tasmanian
Order.
Forest Agreement, which of course
Right,
they
I'm going
signed
to
up to
take
with Labor.
Ms Patrusma.